Sure, and you know, and it helps me to listen to anybody of any age, and realize that they need to reweave their childhood, because all the studies on stages of development point out that if Erik Erikson, for example, if it's resolved negatively early, it tends to trigger negative later. And so there needs to be some way of going back and reworking some of that, and looking at what was going on with the parents or the parent at that time, and coming to terms with making peace with that, and to be able to forgive the inadequacy of a parent. So it has just applications in every circumstance. And I had a marvelous childhood. I grew up in southwestern Kansas. Meade County sits on the Oklahoma line, and US 54 runs through it diagonally and runs into Oklahoma and then into Texas. And so it was, we were poor because it was the Dust Bowl years and crop failures and all the bad things. But we were always secure because we lived in the Artesian Valley, and we had plenty of irrigation water, and so we could raise gardens, and the alfalfa grew because it had deep roots, and so we had crops on that lowland. And I was delivered by Doc Adams. You see him on Gunsmoke. I was delivered by Doc Adams, who drove out in his 1926 Whippet coupe and waited there at the Joy Homestead, my grandparents' house, and took me with forceps. My mother was in my grandparents' bedroom, and so so I was a home delivery, and the birth bonding, when I started to realize from the studies on birth bonding, and I inquired, who all was there, and who touched me, because those early hours are so crucial. And my dad came in from the field where he was driving a tractor and doing some plowing, and so when Doc Adams laid me on the dining room table, and I was kicking, and after I was surviving well, but I was making, you're supposed to cry when you're first delivered, and I said, well, did you touch me? No, he said, you were all bloody and everything, and I just, but I stood there and looked at you. I said, well, thanks a lot. But I was handled by my grandmother and by my mother's sister, who lived about 8 miles away, and my Aunt Ruth was there, and I was always attached to her. And so those kind of relationships in early life are such a stabilizing thing that you're almost unsinkable if you've been well cared for in your early life. But so there are just an awful lot of, I can't help but make observations, and that's a blessing.